Hi beautiful souls, it's Tan here again today on this Astrology, Gene Key and Human Design channel for you. And today we're going to be looking at another Zodiac Degrees, Gene Key and Human Design. And that is going to be a Human Design Gate. And that is going to be Gene Key and Human Design Gate 9, which is in correspondence with the Zodiac Degrees of Sagittarius from 5.45 degrees to 11.22 degrees of Sagittarius. So if you've been keeping up with the channel and you like the content I put out, you can support me on a platform called Ko-fi.com by buying me a coffee. Your support will go into purchasing tools and equipment that I have to use to make these YouTube videos for you guys. And if you would like to connect more with me and other astrology, human design, and gene key enthusiasts out there, you can do so on our Discord platform, links in the description box below. Okay, so this particular archetype is in correspondence with the dream arc vision key bird of the Cormorant. Ooh. And this archetype goes from at the shadow vibration, inertia, into determination, into invincibility, the power of the infinitesimal. And of course, the dream arc totem at the shadow or fear level, it's the tick. At the life key, it is the beaver, the hardworking beavers. And the vision key bird is of course the cormorant. In the I-Ching, this is wind over heaven, the taming power of the small. Trust in the power of the invisible, for the butterfly's wings create a typhoon. Oh, I love that. How tiny the butterfly is, but the power of its wings. The genetic codon associated with this archetype is the codon called the ring of light, associated with the amino acid threonine. And it's really interesting because there are 4 gene keys in this particular genetic codon. That's the 5, the 9, the 11, and 26, and they're all Sagittarius archetypes. So Sagittarius, you are our lights. In the programming partner of this archetype is Gene Key and Human Design Gate 16, which is in correspondence with the Zodiac Gemini from 5.45 degrees of Gemini to 11.22 degrees of Gemini, and the programming partner is going to be the opposite point of this archetype, and that is going to help to show you what the complementary opposite or the balance is of this archetype. And in human design, this gate is located in the sacral, which is the life force workforce energy center. It's part of the channel 952, the channel of concentration, or also called the channel of stability. Okay, so we're going to start off first by looking at the characteristics of the cormorant. So this bird is really something special because it's a bird that dives underwater in a very resourceful and intelligent way. It knows exactly what it wants under the water. It dives right ahead to get it, and it can dive as deep as 45 meters deep, but it can only stay in the water for not more than 1 minute. So it has to go in pretty quickly, get what it wants, and comes back out. Otherwise, it isn't going to be able to breathe. And the other thing that the cormorant does is it swallows stone so that its body becomes heavier, kind of like a diver who needs a scuba diver's weight belt to help anchor or pull its weight deeper into the water. So it's a pretty courageous, risk-taking bird, but it's because it knows what it wants. So it knows that in that 1 minute that it has to go and get fish, it's going to do whatever it takes to get it, and then it's done with. In particular cultures, and now this is kind of a controversial topic because I'm not quite sure that I would support this custom, but in certain cultures, they would actually use the cormorant as a tool to help them fish. So the cormorant would go in, they would tie a rope to the cormorant, it would get fish, and then they would take the fish out of the cormorant, basically like that. So that's kind of like what it's really known for in certain cultures, is the fishing bird. The cormorant is considered to have very short wings because it is not meant to fly, but it's only meant to dive, and it is the bird that has the highest flying cost in terms of energy of all the birds. So I feel, to me, they're a little bit like little dragons, these cormorants. That's what I feel. Okay, so what would be your traits if you have this archetype? So you're definitely gonna be somebody who knows what you want out of life, because you have a vision for that's gonna be. And Sagittarius, ruling that 9th house, is all about long-term goals and visions, and it's the archetype of the archer. So you're gonna take that bow and arrow and aim straight for what it is that you want, and you can very much quickly get it. And you're gonna stick to that goal even if you have to get out of your comfort zone, deep dive, swallow that stone, like metaphorically speaking, like the cormorant is doing, by stepping off your comfort zone and taking the heavier task, doing the heavier things, even just to get to your goal. But the cormorant is very natural in what it does. It's not forcing anything to happen. So if you have this archetype, you can do all these things through a state of relaxation and not through sheer force. But of course, you can also have the opposite trait, which is lack of focus, restlessness, or pursuing your goals with a lot of force rather than with ease. So that's when we're going to kind of get into the shadow vibration of this archetype now and see what may be some blockages here with kind of working with this energy. Okay, so at the shadow level of this archetype, what may happen is that you may be somebody who is focusing on the tiny details of your life without having a sense of direction or bigger vision for what you're trying to get out of your life. So you will be focusing on the mundane activities, the things that you do in daily life without any kind of enthusiasm or passion or consciousness as to how these smaller things are even useful. So when there's that kind of like attitude, right, of why am I having to wash the dishes? Why do I have to, wash my car? Your life force, because this gate is in the sacral and human design, your life force can kind of be sucked out of you, and it can make you feel lethargic or kind of like your life is a drag. It can feel like inertia or kind of feeling stuck. And because this, in the I-Ching, this is called taming power of the small, we can have the reverse when you're in the shadow, meaning that the power of the small is taming you rather than you taming it. So this gate in human design is called the gate of focus. So these stuck feelings inside of you, the root cause of it is coming from where you're placing your focus. It's not about what you do, or it's also with your attitude, but not just that. It's more at the root of it is where you're placing your focus. So it's not about focusing simply on the future and doing all the necessary things to get to the future. So if you have some kind of ambition, a career goal, if you place all your focus on that goal, that future, for example, like studying or connecting with the right people, but you neglect your daily task, that is also going to make you feel like your life force is being sucked out of you because you still have to do the daily task. If, however, you're the opposite and you don't know where you're going, you don't know what your ambitions are, but you're so focused on the daily task, that is also going to make you feel stuck. And in both of these situations, it can kind of feel like you're walking a circular staircase. You feel like, oh, this circular staircase is going to get me up, but actually it's not. You're just going round and round and round. That's kind of what your life can feel like. So what this can lead to is somebody who may complain a lot. You may notice this. I actually know somebody who has this archetype, and I feel like sometimes they're in the gift level of this, sometimes they're in the shadow, but when they're in the shadow of it, they complain a lot. But they still don't do anything about their situation. It's really funny because Sagittarius is the sign that rules our beliefs, and it's really hard to change people's beliefs. Our beliefs, give us meaning in life. So you cannot change what somebody else believes in. They have to have garnered that belief based on their own life experience. So if there's no belief within you, first of all, in yourself, that you can get out of this stuck situation, if there's no belief in your future, if there's no vision for your future, nobody can really influence or tell you what to do. You're gonna have to be the one to get yourself out of that situation. And sometimes that can be hard with this archetype. So you can be complaining about it, but not really sure how to go about taking the next action. Your health may even worsen in this case, because you could have these tensions that are inside of you. And yes, I have known, people who have this, that every little small task they do, they don't like it, but they still do it and they don't know why. It's kind of like almost like absent-mindedness. And yes, their health, their back, their shoulders, their neck kind of has so much tension there. And ultimately it can kind of make you feel like there's paralysis there when you're not doing something that gets you out of this situation by breaking out of your comfort zone. Or the other thing that can happen is it can lead to somebody who's very restless and very fidgety because, you don't like that feeling of that stuck energy, but yet you don't know where to go. So you're going to be doing a lot of things. You're going to be going out, meeting friends. And one of the things that can happen with this other extreme is that you can be spending a lot of money. But you can buy a lot of things. You can be like a collector of so many things, and you spend all your money. Maybe it's on traveling, maybe it's on clothes, maybe, whatever that is, because you just have to do something. Or it can also damage your health as well. Okay, so how can we move from the shadow to the gift vibration of this archetype? In order to do that, the key is going to be determination. And, in the Gene Keys, the definition of determination is actually quite interesting, and it's not really what you may think in the mainstream interpretation of determination. So yes, determination is about having that bigger vision, bigger goal, but being determined in all the little things that's going to get you there. For example, let's say your bigger dream is to be an astronaut. You know that, okay, that's my bigger dream. I'm going to hold that inside of me. I'm going to do what's necessary to get there. But at the same time, I know that I'm going to have to wash my car every weekend. And I'm going to enjoy doing that, because if I don't wash my car every weekend, I'm not going to have a car to get me to work, to my trainings. Or I could be in a car that's really dirty and that damages my health, and I breathe in bad air, for example, and that's going to damage my performance. Although I have that bigger dream to be an astronaut, I know that I still have to eat right. I have to eat good food for myself, even though it may feel like a chore, but I'm going to love doing it because that's going to help build a better body, a better mental health, so that I can pursue my dream. So every little thing that you have to do every day, it's a stepping stone to getting to where you really want to be. And when you get into the rhythm of this, this perspective shift and this kind of routine dawns on you, Richard Rudd calls this the groove. So you're going to be very groovy. It's going to be like a momentum within you, and it's going to feel easy, like you're not forcing yourself. So a good analogy of this would be, for example, a dancer. At the start, okay, so let's say the dancer wants to be very good at what he or she is doing. Of course, at the start, they're going to have to learn a lot. It's going to be more about absorbing in knowledge how to move with rhythm. And they're going to be using, shall we say, the short-term memory part of routines and moves when they're dancing. So it will feel a little bit harder at the start, but then later on, we can all see when the dancer gets into the groove of it, the repetition through the enjoyment of it, they no longer have to think as they're dancing. They can just move as they're dancing. They have their own groove, their own momentum. They know where they have to go, and it's natural, it's not forced, and it's beautiful. You can be unstoppable in this case because, yes, we can say that expertise, being an expert in what you do, doesn't come from forcing yourself. This is very interesting, because if your brain wave is still operating at a, should we say, anxious or higher frequency when you're doing something, you're not going to yet can be considered as an expert at that or have mastered that. And the opposite gene key and human design gate to this, the Gemini archetype is the 16. The 16 is about skills and mastery. So we have this dance here where when you really become an expert at something, when you master your dreams, it is not that you are forcing yourself. It shouldn't feel forced anymore. It shouldn't feel like you have to think too much anymore. It should just be. It's almost like within your being, you do that thing. That's when you know that, you're really making your dreams come true. You're really mastering in something. And your brain wave frequency should actually be dropping and be replaced with more consciousness. Something that's already instilled within you. It's coming out and it's doing the work. It's not so much that it's your brain that's doing the work. And when you are in this groove, when you're moving towards your dream and you can feel this groove, you know now, logically, that this is the right direction for you. You won't know that it's the right direction for you until it just feels so natural. And you can appreciate all the little things on the way, like the fact that you're stardust. You're made of a piece of stardust and you matter. Everything that you do matters. All the small things matter. Okay, so we're gonna turn this up a notch and get to the highest destiny for you, which is also in the gene keys. It's called the city level. The taming power of the small. When you get to this level, you actually feel within you that the smallest things are the biggest things. The smallest things are the most boundless things of all. The smallest things actually have the most energy, like an atom. So tiny, but that's where all the energy is. And Richard Rudd gives an example of this with regards to cutting a string or a rope. You have a string, you keep cutting it, right? And then you take the smaller piece, you cut it even more. You take that piece, you cut it. And the more you cut, the smaller the string becomes. And if you keep cutting, what ends up happening is that you have no string left. And when you have no more string left, what you end up having is space. That's all you have is space. And space is boundless and infinite. Yes, and I love this, the way that this, this works. That the smaller something is, the more infinite it becomes because it has more space. Invincibility is when you break out of your boundaries. You have no boundaries. And this, of course, this doesn't mean like in the material world. This is something to be felt. This is like, of course you should always set boundaries when you're interacting with other people, but this means that you can feel that you, yourself, you're boundless, you're unlimited, you're infinite, therefore you cannot be destroyed. How can you destroy space or air? How can you destroy something that is invisible? You can destroy that piece of string, you can cut it because you can see it, because it's taking up space, but when that string becomes the space itself, you can't destroy it anymore. That's invincibility. So what you are going to be very gifted with at this higher destiny level is understanding the macrocosm, the universe, the stars, and how that's been imprinted in all of us in the microcosm, this linkage here. And this is how I like to look at astrology. I like to look at astrology in terms of the macrocosm fusing in with the microcosm. You may be a gifted astrologer if you have this one. Your aura, you're going to have a type of aura that penetrates very deeply into the truth of the other, into the spaces in another person that they cannot see, like their shadows. You can be very good at pinpointing out other people's shadows. And this doesn't mean that you have to say anything, but it's just in your aura. And that person that I mentioned earlier that I know who has this, sometimes when they're at this city level, and this is what I'm feeling. I can't say this is true 100%, but this is what I feel, is that sometimes when I'm in this person's aura, I feel a little bit uncomfortable because there's something penetrative about their aura. In the way, just being with them, you almost feel like they're gonna be able to pinpoint something about me that is like my shadow. Although they may not say it, but it raises this consciousness or this knowing inside of me that this is my shadow just by being around this person. So yes, all you Sagittarius out there, if you have this archetype, the first step that you take with regards to any new endeavor that you decide to do is super important, because if you approach that with a large vision already there, that groove is going to settle in really easily for you. That appreciation of all the little things is going to be very easy for you, and therefore it's going to make it so much easier for you to manifest all your dreams. But then again, if you're approaching anything new in your life without that bigger vision, that groove is not going to settle in, and it can feel like inertia. So that's going to be your gift there, is manifesting all of your dreams with regards to your visions. A vision that you can hold, and then you can make all your dreams come true. Okay, so that's going to be the end of this video with regards to this archetype. If you do have this archetype, do comment below and let us know what your experiences have been. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below if you haven't. And if you have this archetype, make sure to also tune in to the video that I'm going to make on your programming partner, Gene Key Human Design Gate 16, Gemini archetype. And yes, I do human design, astrology, and gene key combination readings. You can check out more information on my website as well. I'd be really excited to do a reading for you guys. So yes, see you soon, beautiful souls. Bye.